All right. Well, thank you, Madam Chair, and to our witnesses. One of the lessons that I take away from COVID-19 is that we have much to learn from the rest of the world. So, Dr. Nuzzel, in Britain, the EU, Singapore, and other countries, they're making three significant choices differently than in the U.S., and I'd really be interested in your reaction to them and whether we might learn something from them. Firstly, many countries are making the choice to use available doses to get the first shot of vaccine into as many people as possible on the grounds that most of the protection comes from the first shot. And my understanding is that there is, as yet, no evidence that the efficacy of the second shot is reduced if it is delayed. The British scientific modeling, at least, indicates that this approach will save many thousands of lives. And yet the U.S. has chosen not to pursue this approach. So my question on this first item is, if the data from the UK and also the EU, Singapore, and other countries confirms that there is a net public health benefit from giving the first shot first, should we consider adopting their approach? And when might we consider making this switch?
Yeah, so this is an excellent question. And as I said, as with many of you, I wear different hats, and I'm part of the WHO committees that's evaluated the UK vaccines and vaccines from other countries. And, most vaccines do well with a longer interval. So what you're really weighing are the pros and cons of getting as many people vaccinated as quickly as you can, with the possibility that some then may never get a second dose, may have a delayed second dose and have a period of vulnerability. So some of these issues, to me, the UK decisions are based on science and the US decisions are based on science. Some of these have to do with your medical care system, your culture, your understanding of the populations, and your aversion of risk. And so again,
okay, so those don't sound too scientific. I'm just trying to understand. I think, but you concur that at least in terms of the modeling, getting the first shot first is a lifesaver. And then the question is, you need to talk about the sociology of your country and your culture to decide if that nets out well. But from a scientific point of view, first shot first is a winner. Is that something?
I think the UK approach is based on solid science. The further out you go with the second dose, you're getting to less solid science.
Okay. And the second choice they're making differently is that Britain and other countries are manufacturing and testing not only mRNA vaccines, but so-called self-amplifying mRNA vaccines, which can be manufactured roughly 30 times faster since they're effective in roughly a 30 times smaller dose. For example, if the 1 microgram effective dose means that 1 liter of self-amplifying mRNA is enough for 1 billion doses. And so the factory is small and can be turned around rapidly. So if this plays out, self-amplifying mRNA vaccines may be the technology of choice, not only for rapid turnaround and manufacture if new virulent strains are uncovered, but also for vaccinating the 7 billion people from around the world. So my question, in the U.S., we are not pursuing Operation Warp Speed style speculative investment in manufacturing self-amplifying mRNA. And is this something that we should consider?
So we should absolutely be considering second generation vaccines. The self-amplifying mRNA vaccines are being supported through NIH, not through the...
Yeah, but not at the manufacturing level, right? That's the... what they're doing, Shattuck and these guys in, I think, Imperial College are actually, producing non-trivial amounts of this, even as they are being tested in clinical trials, which is something we're not doing. So that if it turns out that this is the killer technology, they'll be ahead of us, and once again, we'll be dependent on, on other countries. So that's, anyway, yeah. If you have a more, something more complete for me to read, I'd be interested in your letting me know about that. The third thing that they're doing in England and elsewhere are human challenge trials. These are currently ongoing in the UK. As you know, all vaccines are very rapidly tested on monkeys, and they get the answer in 1 to 2 months by vaccinating them and then deliberately exposing them to the virus. And we regularly use challenge trials, human challenge trials, to test flu vaccines and other vaccines. But after a lengthy debate, we've decided not to do that for COVID-19. And instead, we're using much more lengthy, conventional field trials, which have taken 6 months or longer. And so the situation I'm worried that we're going to be in is that with a combination of self-amplifying mRNA and pre-approved human challenge trials in England and other countries, the British are going to be able to respond much faster than we will to new strains or new pandemics, perhaps in as much as 4 months, and many months faster than the US will be able to do it. And are we missing something? Are there opportunities here that we should be thinking about taking?
Yeah, so I have published on the human challenge controversy, and I come down on the side of, and I've done human challenge studies for influenza virus. I come down on the side until we have an oral antiviral that works. I feel that there's too much risk. However, we should be developing the challenge models now, preparing the challenge strains so that when we feel it's safe enough, we can quickly move into those challenge studies. And truthfully, the large clinical trials gave us the answer on vaccine efficacy before the challenge studies gave us the answer on vaccine efficacy.
Yeah, because of the approval process. If we had a pre-existing approved facilities ready to go, then you would have seen the same turnaround for human challenge trials that we currently see for primate trials. And so the question is, should, for the next pandemic, we have the approvals, the ethical considerations all set so that we'll be in a technically limited schedule for rapidly testing those vaccines. Had we had that in place and chosen to use it, we would have known many months ahead of time that the vaccines that we are currently deploying were very effective and would have been able to ramp up production even faster than we did. So I think that this is a debate I think that should continue even after this pandemic is ended because of its potential use in future pandemics. Well, I just want to thank you for everything you've done here, and
thank you.